Hi, everybody. Both sections of ICT of 4010, Enterprise Architecture. This is Professor Bauer. Welcome to week 9. I can't believe that we're right toward the end right now. I am trying to catch up with a bunch of assignments. I had a customer that I had to host for a few days last week, and so I am in the catch-up mode just like you. And so we have 2 weeks to get our act together and be ready for the final portfolio assignment. You will appreciate the fact that we changed some of the schedule in this new version of the class because last time everything happened, all the changes happened in week 10. So I persuaded the powers that be to move them into week 9 and to have it a little bit more coherent so that week 10 can really be focused on the final part of the assignment. So we're going to look at some new decisions. Seems like every week Archie Assurance leadership is making them on cloud, AI, market expansion, outsourcing. You've gotten some hints about this already, and now we're going to look at what they mean. I also have some feedback on the papers, which I hope will be all finished and caught up this week, give you a sense on how to prepare for week 9, and most importantly, how to prepare in week 10. We'll also talk about some logistics. So let's jump in. This may be a few minutes more than previous roadmaps because this is going to both sections and it concerns the week 10 work as well. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, we'll look at schedule for the next 2 weeks. As I mentioned, we're all catching up, and of course, when things are tight, we have less flexibility in the schedule. We've had a few folks with COVID. We've had a few difficulties. We're all busy. We all have jobs and families, and school is somewhere, 3, 4 down on the priority list, and as it should be, important, but not the most important. But as we get toward the end of the term, it's time to get the focus ready. You may need to tell your boss, hey, just give me a week or two to get caught up on this puppy, and then the summer comes, and I hope you are planning to have a little bit more relaxation, and hopefully this pandemic will slow down. We seem to be fed up with COVID, but COVID does not seem to be fed up with us. So we're all catching up, but please don't assume that my regular flexibility, which I am famous for, works at the end of the term. At a certain point with dates, I cannot extend dates without breaking DU policies, and I'm not going to get fired for your being late. I hate to say that, but you'll have to take an incomplete, and I am told those are famously difficult to get. So I think it's easier to just flunk somebody, hate to say that, than give them an incomplete, unless there's COVID or illness or some family emergency. So I'm flexible, but not in the last week, so keep that in mind. Week 9, here we go. Something happened. Somebody put some crystal meth in the in the coffee at Archie Assurance's leadership. Just joking about that. They're going cloud everywhere. That means cloud in all their markets. That means cloud providers in all their markets. And I say providers because it may not be just one, Amazon or Microsoft or Oracle or Google or whatever. It may be in particular in China that you're going to have to do some different things there, giving you a big hint there. We're going to use AI in terms of our operations, so that means even more data handling. But we've also got regulatory compliance drivers. We can't take AI data on customer behavior and share it all over the world. So the data sovereignty stuff that you guys read about, and do read about it this week, is real important. Archie is expanding into new markets, and so very important to get that right. They're outsourcing their policy processing to Australia. And I guess they figured out it's nice to go there during during our winter time or something. Anyway, and then finally, um, how we're supposed to write our week 10 paper with all these changes in mind. And this is where some of the earlier guidance um, is important. What I told you to do to write with focus and don't wander around, it's important now that you put everything in slots to combine it all together. And so we'll talk about that. And finally, I've been grading your papers for the last 4 or 5 days. I graded the discussions, and I got the top 10. Like, remember the David Letterman show? I've got the top 10 on things that need to improve in your papers. And so I would watch this um, like a robot and make sure that you follow this precisely, and you will do well in as far as format and all these other things are important here. All right, so let's jump in. Next week, and actually I'm going to say let's catch up together. I am working with a laser focus on your papers this week, and you need to slow down the other things and focus on this, because in 2 weeks it'll be over. Whether you're done with it or not, it'll be over. So keep that in mind. This week is asynchronous mode for both sections of the course, so keep that in mind. And then next week we're going to focus week 10 on preparing the portfolio, putting it all together, taking those little atomistic pieces and combining it into something that's clear, coherent, in the right format. And we're going to focus on that in week 10. We meet on the 31st, the day after Memorial Day, Tuesday, face-to-face in Marjorie Reed Hall. That's on campus, room 020. It's on the ground floor level. We're going to start at 6. We'll be done around 8, usually right around that time. Usually take a break somewhere about in the middle. The asynchronous section, it's not mandatory for you to attend, but I think it will be a very good value add. Thank you for all the students who let me know they're coming. We're excited for you. Please make sure you attend. If you want to attend, follow the DU COVID protocols and make sure you got checked and rechecked and subjected and neglected and inspected and all that other stuff, okay? We will probably do an audio recording, but we'll not be able to do a full video capture. So I'll have slides and I'll have an audio, but I think this one is important to recommend. I'm doing this because I think it's important for you to get the best grade you can. And, you know, if you don't, if you've got it down, then hey, that's fine. We all have other things to do. But if you don't kiss it off. I mean, you got one thing you can go to, and have fun on Memorial Day. And then let's really work on things. And I'm going to let you know that we've extended the deadline for week 10 by a day or two, given the Memorial Day holiday, and we'll talk about that some more next week. All right, lots of changes at Arch Assurance. Oh my goodness. You really have to organize and check off all the stuff they're doing. This is, to my mind, if I'm managing this organization, you don't do all of this right after a merger unless the company is really in bad shape. But be that as it may, we have a bunch of things that have happened. We're also learning about privacy, data privacy. GDPR was famous for this, but now we're seeing versions of such popping up all over the world. Data sovereignty, in other words, I have insurance policies from people who sign up in Beijing. I can't store that in Seattle, okay? There's what they call data sovereignty. Regulatory environment drivers. every country that we're going, all the regional geographies have their own version of this. And so sometimes you have to just do a Venn diagram and have all of these things come together. GDPR seems to be the standard, but there are tweaks. And there's some special tweaks in China that will in the PRC, in the People's Republic of China, that you will have to consider. And so it's important. And I have found in this assignment, and it's the clue phone, it's for you, that you put together a chart and you have all your regions. You have, okay, our North American customers, USA and Canada. Then we have our EU customers, then we have India, then we have China, then we, have our Australian operation. And what are the rules? What are the unique features? What do we have to do? Whose cloud is going to work there? We can't have one cloud to rule them all, right? Because we have, we have data sovereignty situations. Make sure you do some research. I would recommend Amazon, but simply because they've done cloud longer and they've done international cloud longer. But you want to run private clouds in each of your nations. I think China will be different in what you do there, and it might be Alibaba or Tencent or something like that you look at. So keep that in mind. Choose the cloud provider who can address all the areas. You don't just buy one and try to force it into China or India or an EU context. Keep all that in mind. This is complex. I think you could probably do this with Azure. I think you could do this with Oracle. Everyone will have to look uniquely at China. So that's worth its weight in gold. So make sure you follow some of those instructions there. From the assignment, you're writing how Arch Assurance should address the impacts of cloud, platform as a service, software as a service architecture, deployment of AI. You're going to analyze and price insurance customer data, okay? What they have called data-driven insurance. They're expanding their markets from the U.S. to the European Union, India, Japan, China, Australia, outsourcing of policy and claims administration to a partner in Australia. So I don't know if you ever remember the movie Ghostbusters when Bill Murray, who's playing Dr. Peter Venkman of the Ghostbusters, is explaining what Dan Aykroyd's called Old Testament wrath of God stuff, describing the end of the world. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. That's kind of how it feels like at good old Arch Assurance. And you guys have to pay attention to it. So keep in mind the regulatory drivers, security and managing the personal data, cloud architecture partner stuff. Amazon has some great diagrams and some great information. And I'll send out some tidbits during the week just to keep everybody up to date on where you can find some of that stuff. Either you're going to try a global cloud provider or a best of nation separate cloud provider or some mix of that. Keep in mind, integrating risk and security within the TOGAF environment, data sovereignty, just imagine AI data, personal data on customers getting out and being posted on the dark web. This would kill an insurance company. And Archie is taking a lot of risk, and insurance companies don't like risk. So keep that in mind. Remember, this is an independent document, but it is going to be merged into all the other documents in the portfolio. So keep that in mind. Don't wander, okay? Keep a laser focus on what you're talking about. The rubric is still your friend. And I've got some good news. You are now able to save first in Microsoft Word to PDF and then upload that PDF into Canvas. When they designed the course, they forgot to check save uploadable as PDF as an option. So I thought you guys just weren't doing it right, and the designer didn't do that, and I'm really sorry. I fixed it myself, and so starting this week, week 9, upload as a PDF. It will be mandatory for the last week that you save it as a PDF and you upload the PDF, simply because it works, your paper looks better, and I will be able to grade real mistakes other than Microsoft Word mistakes, which I'm sure there are many. So just trying to help you get your very best grade possible. All right, let's look at our top 10 what needs to improve in your papers, okay? Don't take this personal. Now, take it personal, okay? In other words, this is some important stuff. So I put together my top 10. I don't have a drum roll. I don't have all the fancy graphics, but let's go. Number 1, use the Word template, okay? I've sent it out 100 times. I'll send it out again if you're missing it. It just works. I have proof. I have proof of papers that I've seen students say, okay, Professor Bauer, I'm ready to believe you. And you just open the Word document and you type over it in your paper, and then you're golden. And then you can use that again and again and again, okay? It's better than what you're using, okay? Oh, mine is so much better. No, it's not, okay? This was made by experts for people who don't have enough time to learn all these crazy rules, okay? So please. Also, make sure you use all the parts of it. Sometimes people have a great cover page, but their table of contents is all screwed up. They didn't use the table of contents. Or they have different fonts. They should use the fonts that are right there in the template. Or the justifications, margins, etc. So you open the template in Word, save it as your title. This is, Archie Assurance Part 5, Part 6, etc. And then you go to work. For week 10, you have to combine all those papers together. If they're in the same font, if they're in the same registration, if they're, justification, if they're in the margins and all that stuff, if all that's the same, you're going to end up with something that's similar, consistent, and easy to tweak to get it ready for the portfolio submission. If it's all different versions and formats and fonts and all this stuff, you're going to have a United Nations Christmas celebration, okay? It's going to have everything. It's going to have, in other words, it's going to be a mess. So get that template, use it, and accept no substitutes. Here's a true confession. Your professor, the loving and tender Professor Bauer, I know it's stunning, but I will have less mercy on students who aren't using the template. Because at this point, we're on week 9. This is the 4th quarter, guys. We can't get a new playbook here and expect to win. So use the template, okay? It's your best friend in this assignment, okay? Number 2, an abstract is a summary. Definition, a summary of points as of in a following written document. In other words, what we're doing, we write an abstract, usually presented in a skeletal form. It's high level, something that summarizes or concentrates the essentials. Okay, for a single paper, you write an abstract for that paper. For the week 10, you got to combine it all. Okay, it's high level. Don't list all the things that Archimate does, or don't list all the things that Archie Assurance is going to do, except the big ones. Okay, so don't get in the weeds with the details. Okay, let's get specific as we go into number 3. Use the Word template for the table of contents. Use the Word template for bibliography. It's beautiful. Look at these pictures here, screen grabs right from that template. Look at even the contents has Roman numerals because the first page starts on the first page of the actual paper. See, you get that in a template. You can't reproduce that on your own without spending a lot of time. The headlines are right. The justification is right. The Turabian jive is there, okay? And it's beautiful when you use it. It's so easy. It feels like cheating, but it's not. It's your professor helping you to succeed. So you just type over the template text with your own, and you're there. Now, you'll have to modify it when you merge them all together because you'll have your table of contents items will change. But take the biggest one, like, the first major one, what is that? Archie Sharon's case study 2, the longest one, and then you add the sections to that, and you clean up the table of contents, and away you go. So that's really important. Okay, number 4. Margins are left justified, not full justified, okay? In our format, look at the page here. You'll see everything is lined up. 1 inch left margin, perfectly aligned. No problem at all. The right margin, it breaks at various points close to the right margin, but it's not full justified. In other words, you don't put white space in the entire line to get them all to line up on both sides. Harder to read that way. All right, this is called ragged right, actually, printer's term. It's easier to read on the eye, okay? You have to use it, so do that, okay? Someone did a perfect paper, except everything was full justified, both left and right. No, don't do that. You're not improving it. Don't improve your writing. Don't improve your format, okay? I'm probably losing my patience by saying this 7 or 8 or 9 times. I will not have patience on week 9 and week 10. You absolutely have to do it this way, okay? What did somebody say, my way or the highway? Yeah, this is what the CEO says, and so that's really what we have to do. Okay, margins, left justified. Illustrations. Some of you had no illustrations. That's a problem, all right? Especially the first major one in the second one you submitted. You had no captions? Please, you got to do that, all right? We can. You have to, now, don't give me 100 of them, but, you should have 4 or 5 at least in that area. We're doing it in TOGAF. Here's a TOGAF picture, a little yellow clock, etc. Here's this thing. Here's that thing. Here's a process. But don't just drop it right in there without saying anything. Introduce your diagram or image in the sentences preceding that. It's the lead-in. Okay, so you don't just drop a diagram as if the reader who doesn't know all this stuff is going to automatically see why you put it there. Tell them why. All right, you should have a caption. You do this in Microsoft Word, you take the image, you right-click on it, and it says Insert Caption. And then you have, Image 1 or Figure 1. And then you title it, the TOGAF 9.2 Architecture. The Archimate diagram for relationships between the 3 data models in the merged company. Whatever that is. Captions are in italics. You keep them sequential. Image 1 and a title, image 2 and a title. And then after the image, on the next line after the image, the next line or 2 should explain why. Image 1 shows the workflow processes that are going to be important to manage in this merged entity. You could see both company A, company B, and company C doing da-da-da-da-da, okay? Again, don't just drop it in there, like a drive-by image. Introduce it, caption it, and explain it, okay? Really important in terms of images, okay? Just to help you. Okay, few more now. Titles and subtitles are upper and lower case, what proofreaders call ULC. You'll see the template, literature review. That's correct. Literature review on the right has a lowercase r. Every major noun or verb has a capital. You don't capitalize or the, what they call particles, but the R in review should be capitalized. I can't believe after we talked about this, it's still getting wrong. Okay, you gotta to graduate in this class, you gotta get this down. Okay, if your company has you write in a certain format, It's not the First Amendment. Well, I just don't feel like that. Um, you know, Format is important. I hate to harp on this, but it really is. All right, number 7, the header. Your last name, dash, and the page number from the template. Last name, short dash, no spaces before, no long dash, no, and you just insert the page number. Don't just put 1 there, because it'll just appear that every page will be 1. And some of you aren't using pages. I sound like Jerry Seinfeld. What are you doing? You gotta do it right here, or I'll start sounding like Larry David, a cranky version of Jerry Seinfeld. So um, insert the page number. It's a header, and then this appears on every page. Just use the template. You put your last name there, and you don't even have to put the dash in 1. Everything gets automatically formatted. It couldn't be any easier. All right. If you have grammar problems, use Grammarly. I've mentioned it. If you use it for 2 weeks, and it will improve your paper noticeably. I just put a little junky paragraph in here just to show you how it works. There's a free download that you plug right in to whatever your browser is. I'm not sure it works in Safari, but I think it does. I just haven't played with it in Safari. So if you're a Mac person, all right. 9, save as PDF in Microsoft Word, upload as PDF in Canvas. It works. Feature always works in Microsoft Word. Okay. If you can't save as PDF, you're not following some pretty easy directions. Save as, then there's a pull down of a lot of formats, starts in Word, but about, 7 or 8 down, it has PDF. Save that, and then you upload that PDF in Canvas, okay? This feature always worked in Word, but we now fixed it in Canvas. I apologize for that oversight. I assumed that it would have been done right, and that's my bad, okay? So I'm not criticizing anybody's paper up through week 9. But 9 and 10, do your assignments in PDF format, okay? I will not accept week 10 if it's not in PDF format, okay? I may even change it to accept only PDFs. So please do the right thing on this, okay? This is for your own good. And number 10, when you put it all together, everybody's happy. So let's review those 10 items again. Use the blankety blank template. Write a good abstract, okay? You're going to have to expand it as you add all the papers together, but don't add 3 paragraphs. It's still 1 short paragraph. Table of contents, bibliography, again, use the template. Is there a theme here? We should write a hit song called Use the Template. Remember, left justified, not full justified. Illustrations are introduced in text, captioned on the illustration, and then commented upon after the illustration. Subtitles are ULC, upper and lowercase. Use the header format from the template. Grammarly if you need it, okay? It's just important. Again, upload PDF to Canvas. Practice this week in in week 9, mandatory week 10, okay? If you pay attention to these 10, we will both be happy. Okay, sorry to drone on. Have a great week. We got 2 weeks left. Bye-bye now.